This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, begins a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charge the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Mark, they can't pitch. They can't hit. What is with, I mean, come on.
We can't start winning until we stop losing.
He has no chance!
Tuesday night. Brutal. B-R-U-T-A-L.
Probably the biggest at bat at night, first and second with no outs, and Gadire swung on a first pitch fastball down and away and grounded to double play. We got to have a better at bat there. That one really hurt. I think the game kind of changed after that. It didn't look good after that, and that was a little disappointing. Michael just chased. He just chased a bad pitch.
The thing is are they really our fans? You know, are you our fans now that things are a little tough, or are you going to be our fans when we run these games off and get in the playoffs? Be consistent. That's all I can ask. Be consistent, and we need to be consistent as well. So it's definitely a hand-in-hand thing.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that they fooled me once. Shame on you. They fooled me, you can't get fooled again.
Well done, young man!
All right, here we go.
You like that?
Oh, I do.
You like that?
I love it, isn't that?
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
Oh, you'll like it now. You'll learn to love it later. Greetings, good afternoon, and act you and yours. I'll get right to it. Tennessee, finally, after all these years, you're the first to know this is breaking news on the Fan. I finally have parlayed the Taste Fairy commercials into a nationally syndicated radio show.
Oh my gosh, can you hear about that show? Above average.
April Fool! I had you there for a second, didn't I? I just love April Fool's Day. Had you there for a second, didn't I? Are you a big April Fool's Day guy?
No.
No. Kids in the family. I remember when you're a kid, I never forget, it was fourth grade. And I can remember, there are certain things that resonate with you from your youthful days, right?
Sure.
I remember my first memory of when we lived in Atlanta. My brother and I were out playing. There's a song by an artist named Lobo called Me and You and a Dog Named Boo. In the first words of the song, I remember to this day the bright red Georgia clay as it stuck to the tires. As it stuck to the tires after a summer rain. I remember playing in the bright red clay in Georgia. Now, I can't be much more than 4 years old. And I remember there were hundreds of ants swarming everywhere too. So as a kid, I was pretty freaked out by ants everywhere. That's one of my first memories. Another one is I remember, it was in the living room of our home in Brooklyn Center. My mother and I were watching the JFK funeral procession with the caisson. Is that what they call that? Where they have the horse-drawn wagon with the casket in the back. I remember one of my first memories was I split my brother's forehead open with an ice pick. He and Lyle were teasing me. They were inside. We just moved into this house. This is also Brooklyn Center. And they were inside the cardboard boxes that the new washer and dryer were shipped in. And they were teasing me. My brother was 3 years older than me, and Lyle was about his age. So to get at my brother, I took this ice pick and I slammed it into the box. I mean, my aim was perfect. I couldn't see. It's sort of like, you know, the magician thing when he saws the woman in half, right?
Yeah.
Same thing. I was a perfect strike. It hit my brother in the top of his forehead, blood streaming out his head. No! He got yelled at, and not me. Why were you teasing your brother? Don't tease your little brother.
I always love that one.
So my brother got a split forehead, and he also got in trouble by Dad.
The older one always does take more of the blame because you should be more mature, more responsible.
Exactly right. There was a time. This is going to be weird. You won't even understand this. There was a time where they had these crystal radios, a tiny little plastic box, where you would take alligator clips, and that were attached to it. You would clip them to like a barbed wire fence, and you could hear the radio.
Wow,
that was how that was the most. What's the word I'm looking for? Simplistic radio you could ever have. I also remember April Fool's Day in 4th grade. I decided I was going to pretend I had a broken arm. So I had my mom put on, like, you know, it wasn't like a cast. I think it was just like I wrapped it up with, you know, that ace bandage kind of a thing.
Sure.
And nobody bought into it at all. I was disappointed. I guess my acting wasn't very good. As a matter of fact, I remember my teacher, Mrs. Grouse, looking at me and kind of giving me a look like, you got to pretend you're in pain. She goes like that. And I'm just kind of like, I was all happy. But I was going to be, that was the failure of that was sort of like what I feel when I'm doing Flop, Sweat, and Tears. Same kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was parody for your career.
Yeah, it really was. It just didn't go over very well. But April Fool's Day is always, kids really enjoy it. And I'm sure at schools all over, people are trying to pull April Fool's jokes. And the thing is, it's really hard to pull them off because everybody knows it's April Fool's Day. I had you for a second, though. I could see it in your eyes.
I was wondering where you're going.
Yeah, well, I would go to Los Angeles for a nationally syndicated radio show where I would go. But look at, someone just sent a text to me, courtesy of the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line at 64686. Cecil from MG. MG, would that be Maple Grove?
Maple Grove.
He goes, you got me. So I got him. I knew I could reel somebody in with that April Fool's joke. So, yeah. Now, here's something else, Tennessee, that someone just texted. This is from the 507. Now, the sentence ends with a question mark. Vikings finalizing a deal for Sauce Gardner?
Oh my gosh.
Have you heard any rumors such as that?
Is this an April 1st?
Well, that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. Because isn't Sauce Gardner sort of on
he's been in the rumor mill a little bit.
He's been in the rumor mill. And the Vikings.
Because remember, wasn't it before I even left, there was I don't know how serious the trade rumor was, but it was Sauce Gardner for the Vikings for Jordan Addison. I'd be like, I'm all in.
Right, that's exactly right. And so the only reason I bring it up is because it is April Fool's. That's probably what this is. But in the Vikings, they got a lot of money, right? They still have plenty of money under the salary cap. And fixing the secondary, now again, we don't know if the two additions on the offensive line and the two additions on the defensive line are really going to turn out the way we would like them to, right? I mean, again, there are a lot of question marks about, I think, all four of these guys because they're all coming off injuries of one sort or another. The defensive guys, I think, are both pretty long in the tooth. They're in their 30s. I mean, they're closer to the end of the end of the end than they are to the beginning of the middle of the end, right? And so, do they stay healthy? Can they still play at a high level? You know, we just don't know that. But you look at everything they've done. We like our wide receiver core. I think we like our running back core. We added the guy from San Francisco. We certainly like our quarterback room. We got Aaron Rodgers as a starting quarterback, going to be followed, and backed up by the future franchise quarterback, and then Brett Rippon. So we've got that taken care of. We like everything we've done defensively. We've added to that too. So the only thing really we need to do is add to that secondary. And Sauce Gardner would be he's one of the best in the biz, right? Wasn't he like?
As a rookie, he was having one of the best rookie cornerback seasons we've seen.
And wasn't he like a top 5 pick? Top 5 pick?
I thought, I thought he was like number 4.
Yeah, number 4. So, it'd be awfully sweet if they could, if they could reel him in. But that will leave that for another day.
He was drafted 4th overall in 2022. And then we'd have Jeff Okudah, who was drafted 3rd overall. That's all we'd get, just top 5 corners.
Right. And the Okudah thing, He underwhelmed almost everywhere he was, including Detroit. But he has been injury riddled as well. Now, will that continue to dog him? Will that be the headline of his career? Jeff Okudah, a lot of talent. I think he played for Bama, right? Drafted 3rd overall, but an injury riddled career never allowed him to get to the place a lot of people thought he would on the football field in the National Football League.
He was in Ohio State.
Ohio State, okay. No one is, again, we don't know, but if he's able to play like he did in college and stay healthy, it would be a real coup for the Minnesota Vikings. Here's another. I hear the Twins have traded for Mike Trout. April Fool. We could use him.
I actually do have something I have to tell you. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. As of today, I'm now going to become the video coordinator for the Minnesota Wild.
No.
April Fools!
I kind of knew they wouldn't have hired you, to be honest with you.
That one wasn't believable?
Yeah, that really wasn't even that believable. Here's something for you. You know the torpedo bat thing? That's all the rage? The Twins have their own bats. I found out that what they've done is they've taken lacrosse sticks and just removed the net. And so that's what they've been using at the plate, which would probably explain their 0-4.
I was actually thinking for golf for a driver. If we want to create drivers that'll fit where I hit it on the club face,
right.
Can we expand the outside parts of the driver?
Yeah, and then
take parts from the middle and just squeeze that in, because I don't hit the middle of the driver.
And then have it kind of curved, like a curved hockey stick, so when you hit it comes back.
Do the spin against it.
That's what you would hope for. I got a lot of things. Oh, by the way, if the Vikings were to acquire Sauce Gardner, he would only be the second most popular sauce in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to overtake meat sauce. Lucky. Hockey. I kind of do a pretty good meat sauce, don't I? Hockey. Chris Hockey and the Chris Hockey Band. It's kind of about meat sauce. Alliterates. We'll take a break. And by the way, I heard the Twins are actually trading for Ohtani. April Fool.
Well, he wouldn't be a fit here, though.
Yeah, well, that's... Wait, hold on. I'll give you a... We'll take a break and come back. Speaking of the Vikings, we're going to take controversial Vikings news. Not Purple Prey. Purple Prey isn't far away.
That's a couple weeks, yeah.
A couple of weeks from now. But peek at the Purples next year in the Fan.
Join Moss and Miller Lite at Jimmy's in Vadnais Heights this Thursday from 5 to 7. Stop by for your final chance to win a spot in the Vikings Foundation Golf Tournament and to load up on sweet Miller Lite golf gear. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword golf.
Tennessee, I heard Warren from St. Paul has run out of Vikings takes. April Fools! Here's another. Boy, I really miss Abbott in the producer's chair. April Fools! Common Man made a funny joke. April Fools! There's another one. Abbott said he was giving you two a raise. It's not funny.
No, not at all.
It's not funny at all. It's
Truth hurts.
April Fool's joke. Someone else at Meat Sauce said that Flop, Sweat, and Tears is sold out. That has to be an April Fool's joke. I'm not. This is not. We have sold out. This is the first time. We're sellouts, but I mean, this is the first time we've ever sold out a show a week, or not quite a week, but it was sold out as of yesterday. And the show was Friday. So you're thinking, oh, what a bad run of luck. You're not going to be able to see the show. Well, Wilbur, we've stashed a few pairs of tickets, and we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to Flop, Sweat, and Tears. It's coming Friday at Sticks Tavern. That's in the Dahlgreen Golf Course in Chaska. We'll give away a pair of tickets so you can attend and to catch all the knee-slapping, side-splitting humor. That is Meat Sauce. Common and Larry. I was going to say Mary. It's Larry, a Mondello guy. Time now for Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. If you're a journeyman electrician and looking for a great opportunity, Affordable Electric would like to hear from you. It's a full-time position, competitive wages. Affordable Electric provides health insurance, a simple plan with a 3% match from Affordable, a work truck, bonuses, and the ability to earn commissions. Don't delay. Apply today. Visit their website at affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. And remember, Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. I don't know if I really have any controversial Vikings news to speak of, Tennessee. It seems like, again, all is quiet on the Western Front. I guess what I would just remind people of is Kevin O'Connell addressed media yesterday, and really for the first time publicly, I think, talked about the Aaron Rodgers possibilities. And I saw a story in The Athletic on it. And I like looking at the message boards because it helps me get and it was a long, it was Tommy Pelissero asked a question of KOC. There's nobody better at giving long answers without really saying anything, right? I mean, it was just talking about the mutual respect for Aaron and this, and then talked about how they want McCarthy to hit the ground running and all this. So really no commitment either way. No shutting the door on Aaron Rodgers. But there's nothing to suggest that they're leaving it wide open either. And we spent quite a bit of time talking about Rodgers tomorrow and yesterday, and I don't think we'll spend much time today other than now during the Peek at the Purple. And I've come to the conclusion, this is what I think is going to happen, and it's my gadfly sense tingling. That's really all it is. I feel like they've left the door open because I think Rodgers wants to. I don't think there's any question he'd rather play here than anywhere else. It's the old, where would be the best place for any quarterback, rookie or veteran? The question that was asked last year about where would a rookie quarterback want to land? If any place, it would be Minnesota because of bookend tackles, great offensive mind. You got JJ and Addison and the tight end Hawkinson. And you got a good defense. Just be a great place. And I'm thinking Rodgers at the tail end of his career, he doesn't want to play for a mediocre club. That he's not playing for really, I don't think, the love of the game anymore. He wants to win another ring. And he wants to go to the place where he has a chance to do that. And of all the teams that are looking for a quarterback or would consider looking for a quarterback, it would be the Minnesota Vikings. But and obviously Rodgers having a conversation with KOC. KOC said in no uncertain terms that he sort of did my caretaker of the franchise kind of a bit, where I always said, when Jordan Love was drafted by Green Bay fans were bitter. Rodgers was bitter. A lot of pundits couldn't understand why they didn't go out and get a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. And my take at the time was, and it still is, a general manager's job is to be a caretaker of the franchise. So not just for today, but for the future as well. If you spot a guy that you think is got the potential to be a franchise quarterback, it's incumbent upon you to draft him, especially when you have an aging quarterback. And Rodgers that was 4 or 5 years ago, but still there was no telling. Rodgers was in his late 30s, right? And so you got to plan for the future, just like they did when they traded for Favre from Atlanta, and then they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers sat on the bench, and it worked out very well for them, and it's worked out pretty well with Love. Depending upon what you think of Jordan Love, I think he's got a chance to be a really good quarterback. I'm not going to go PST on the bit like the guy did that way, who I can't remember who it was, but he was in the running for the preposterous statement tournament when he basically said Jordan Love is the best player in the league or some nonsense like that. But, so, I guess because of the respect you have for him and a former relationship, well, if Rodgers reaches out to you, you're going to talk to him about it. And here's what I think. I think Rodgers wants to play here, and I think the Vikings want him. Here's the reason they haven't signed right away. This is my theory. And I think I talked about this yesterday. Rodgers, I don't think, has any interest in participating in OTAs or training camp. He wants to just show, or mini camp. He wants to show up at training camp ready to go, right? Well, it's a bad look for the head coach if all of a sudden, regardless if you think that that's something because of his grid cred that Rodgers deserves to make that decision. You can say he's so good and has accomplished so much. If he doesn't want to come, he doesn't need to come. He's that good. We don't care. But then that looks like he's running the organization rather than the coach, and you're currying favor toward Rodgers that you're not doing to other veterans on the team. And so I just have this feeling there's a wink kind of a thing with, okay, we'll just wait until after we get through OTAs and minicamp, and then we'll make the decision. We'll say, we've decided we're going to go with Aaron Rodgers. We like J.J. McCarthy, but they'll figure out a way to spin it. That we just figure this is our best opportunity to capitalize on what we've done in the offseason now, because those moves, folks, were made to win now. You don't sign to aging defensive linemen, very good, or have been very good. You don't sign them if you're not. This is not for the future. Like, in about 5 years, we'll be ready to win, and these guys will be in peak form. Those guys will be out of the league in 5 years, more than likely, unless they just find a way to continue to play at a high level, stay healthy, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my take. I don't know, Tenneby, if you think that's even. Well,
I was just going to pass along some kind of Aaron Rodgers news from this morning.
So this blows my whole theory up.
Potentially.
Okay.
Art Rooney II. Why is he not Art Rooney Jr., by the way? Why is he the second?
I think it all depends upon what if your name isn't exactly like it, like middle name and everything, then you're not the second, you're just a junior.
Okay.
So like Deuce would be a junior, I think, and not the second because he doesn't share my middle name.
Got it. Art Rooney today said that he had a good feeling about Aaron Rodgers, and the signs are, quote, pointing in that direction of him signing with the Steelers.
Okay. Then blow up my whole theory. I'm still going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say he's going to be playing here for the Minnesota Vikings this year.
Until he signs on that dotted line.
Well, that's it. That's exactly it. So, and maybe he is. I mean, I did read the Tomlinson bit, and Tomlinson said they're very cut out. Again, believe, a lot of these guys talk out of both sides of their mouth, right? And I saw a quote from Tomlin. Who is the guy they have signed? Is the guy named Rudolph? Rudolph?
Yeah, he's been there before.
Right, and he basically said, I'm very comfortable playing with Eric. Is it Eric Rudolph?
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. I'm very comfortable playing with Mason Rudolph. Now, I wouldn't say he's making it up as he goes along. Yeah. Well, he probably does. See, if you'd let him finish the sentence, I'm very comfortable playing with Mason Rudolph if my other choice is to play with, Rippon. So he's really telling the truth. He's very comfortable, but is he really deep down comfortable going into, like right now, as he say, hey, let's go play. I have my doubts.
If we can't get our other options, I have to act like I'm comfortable with him, because that's what we're going to get stuck with.
That's I guess that's the best. That's the best way to say it. So we'll see how it goes. And Tenneby, here's some more breaking news. I heard that Rosen went out to dinner and he picked up the check.
Really?
Yeah. April Fools. We'll break and come back. That was Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Affordable-Electric to apply for a journeyman electrician's job. They have a position that's open. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. Let's dive deep into some basketball, hockey, and baseball. Other side of the break. Common Man program on the Fan.
ready for a night of non-stop laughter. Tom Segura's Come Together Tour is taking over XL Energy Center on April 18th. Tickets are flying off the shelves. Don't miss out. Grab yours now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
That sounds like a heck of a concert. I might want to show up with some friends.
Tennessee, did you hear that Mark Rosen paid for his Wolves tickets? April Fool. Tennessee, did you hear that Rosen had his own original take? April Fool. Yeah, we love April Fool's Day. Yeah, it's one of my favorites. NBA has meted out their discipline for the Timberwolves Pistons scuffle, brouhaha, melee, Donnybrook or Pier Sixer. 3 Detroit Pistons have been suspended, all one game except for Isaiah Stewart. He was suspended for 2 games. Ron Holland and Marcus Sasser both suspended for 1 game. I believe they play for the Pistons. I've never seen them in a Timberwolves uniform. I think that, but I do know these 2 are Timberwolves. Dante DiVincenzo, a 1-game suspension, as well as Naz Reid. And I think they serve those immediately, or do they get to? Is there a
chance to appeal?
Do they have a chance to appeal? Because if they do, I would think then. And I don't know. I've not seen anywhere if there's an appeal process. If there were, they would obviously. My guess is they would appeal to make sure they're there for the Denver game tonight. Because I think the Denver game, I don't know who the Wolves play after that, but I would think Denver, despite the fact that we've owned them the last 5-6 times we've played them, to me that would still be the game that would be you're more difficult on the road. Because, we
got Brooklyn.
Yeah.
We're at Brooklyn Thursday night.
Okay, so.
Then at Philly Saturday.
Yeah, so I think you'd rather have them tonight. But then again, as we've seen in the NBA, teams that are playing, and the Wolves have been the victim of this, when the opposition is shorthanded. We had it happen. Was it the Pacers? We're missing 4 starters, I think. I think it was the Pacers. And it was another club that was missing a couple, 3 starters, and we ended up losing to them as well. And the theory being, I think it was Stevie Kerr had this theory, and I tend to agree with it. I subscribe to it. I prescribe to it. That these guys are playing for contracts, and these guys are, they never get a chance to play. So when you don't get an opportunity to play, you're pretty excited. You go out there and you give it not only the old college try, but the old professional try. So tonight's game, I think, is a 9:00 start. And I don't know, with the Wolves, if there is no appeal process, they would have, not only would they have be short 2 players, but time zone change on the road and circadian rhythm and, of course, altitude. They have all that going for them. I'm about to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
Romney, no, that's still my favorite. Romney, I also have been very hard on the Minnesota Timberwolves this year. It's the tough love covenant. I'm not much into teams who I really believe, and I think it happens in the NBA. It happened apparently in the NHL too. I mean, John Hines, head coach of the Minnesota Wild, basically didn't feel like the Wild in their very last game gave it the old. They didn't play. They weren't ready to play, didn't give much effort, this, that, and the other thing. I don't generally see hockey coaches say that much. In the NBA, I bet every single morning after a slate of games, there'll be at least one coach, if not 2 or 3, that basically, and players that will just say, the other team just tried harder. The Wolves have said it like 3 or 4 games in a row now, where the other team just tried harder. And that is the one that I would think would at least, at the least, mildly annoy fans to the point of angering them. Because it's like, dude, you play 82 games a year. You're supposed to, every game is supposed to be, play your hardest, play the game. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Good time Charlie's got the blues, but you should never lose for a lack of effort. And I think a lot of times these players just take it for granted. Our paychecks are guaranteed. The Wolves, for instance, know they're going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of where they're going to be seated. They can make it in the top 6 or have to do the play-in. I've had people attack me through through emails and the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line accusing me of not knowing what I'm talking about. I don't watch any games. How would you know? And it's like, well, I know because the players themselves said so. The quotes are there, and no player is come out and said, I never said that. Reporter guy made that up. These are quotes that they're saying. I also have somebody else that agrees. Tennessee found this for me. I'm not sure where you got it, but it's the coach for Denver. His name is Malone, I believe.
Michael Malone.
Michael Malone. And he was with the media, I believe it was yesterday, or maybe it was today, but I think it was yesterday, previewing the upcoming game between the Wolves and Denver. And here's what he had to say about the Timberwolves.
But it's easy to say, we got to do something different. Well, we also just have to play a hell of a lot harder. I think they've approached these games like it's a rivalry, and I think we've approached these games like it's another game sometimes. And one of my coaches, Andrew Munson, this is his scout, he says it after every time we play them. He goes, I've watched their last 5 to 7 games, and they never play as hard as they do against us. And you can sense that. You can notice it. So you throw everything else out the window. You know, this team's beaten us 5 games in a row, and hopefully that can, that can resonate within our guys, and we can come out with the proper mindset tomorrow.
So it sounds like he's saying his team doesn't try as hard when they're playing the Wolves, and the Wolves are trying as hard as they can when they're playing Denver, and that's the difference. It's like, it's so is it intuitive or counterproductive? It's just so, it's beyond the pale of how wrong that is. You can be just a terrible team in a terrible city with terrible fans in a terrible stadium. You don't have the right players. Your team isn't coached as well. You're just, because there always have to be the best team in the league and the worst team in the league and everything in between. It just has to be that way. The White Sox last year were the worst team in baseball, losing 121 games, the most in the modern era. And now the Minnesota Twins are supplanting Chicago as the worst team in Major League Baseball. That's where they're headed right now, right? So something's got to, but it should never be because you weren't trying. And now we've heard, again, I read some quotes this morning. Fish Wrap Factory West Side, it could have been the Athletic, quotes from Gobert at a monster game. It was the Pistons awakened, they woke up a sleeping giant apparently, because the Pistons were having their way with the Wolves until the fight, right? They were both teams are physical, but the Pistons love playing physical basketball apparently, and
that's their brand. And
they were pushing. It was bully ball. They were pushing the Wolves around, and then it got out of hand, and I don't remember which was it. Nas Reed who got annoyed first, and he
got fouled.
Yeah, and then he got into it with it, and then it escalated from there and fell in. It ended up in the stands, and the whole thing was a total mess. But then they started to play, and Julius Randle had maybe his best game. Ant woke up; he was not playing very well. I think he ended up having. Did he finish with like 20? But he had most of his points in the third quarter. Gobert had a monster game. I mean, he had a double-double, and his rebounds were 25 rebounds. Now, I don't know if the guys that were booted from the game for the Pistons are the guys that would battle on the boards with Gobert to get those, but regardless, 25 rebounds. I mean, I don't know what the record is in an NBA game, but I got to think you just don't see 25 rebounds very often. And Gobert, there were some quotes for him saying, when I play like that, he believes it inspires the other players and gets everybody on the same wavelength. So, well, then do it all the time.
All the records are Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell.
And how many?
Wilt Chamberlain had 55 in 1960 versus the Boston Celtics. But Bill Russell's 2-3-4. Wilt is 5-6-7. Bill's 8. Wilt is 9 through 15. I mean, Bill and Wilt take up the top 20 spots for most rebounds in a game. And then finally, something called Jerry Lucas.
So 25 is kind of just not that big of a deal. I mean, I guess in modern day it is, but other than that, it's really not that big of a deal, right?
55 in a game.
Yeah, that's just, and again, back in those days, there was only a handful of really big guys. But here's the Gobert stuff. It says,
he was also in that game, Wilt, 15 of 43 shooting. So I wonder how many of his own rebounds off his own shots.
Right. Here's what Gobert said. I just try to set the tone. I know that when I do that, it's contagious for the team. For me, it's really important to do it in the first minute of the game to the last, and in practice every day and in the weight room. Wherever I'm at, I try to lead by example. Now, I don't know. I guess the people that have been watching the games would have to let me know, is he doing that right at the outset from the game, or is he not? Because it seems as though this Wolves team is very enigmatic. They seem to, it's the old play down to their competition is the old cliche that's used. And that's another one to me I've never, and again, that goes to the whole mindset of an NBA player where really that's what you're going to do. So you're going to, because you look at the other team and go, look at their record. We're superior to them. So again, it's the old, and the Wolves aren't the only team that I think it's an epidemic in the NBA is what I think it is. And this is why this is why the association bothers me, is because I think they do just take nights off and flip switches when they know. They wait till the second half to start. You're cheating, I think, the ticket buying public that way. I believe it's like you're not giving them what you're getting paid a lot of money. And you're not giving it. You're coasting through games and feeling you're so superior to that team. And then that's what happened when you do that. That's how you end up getting beat by the Indiana Pacers of the world and the Utah Jazzes of the world. That's what happens. And so now tonight,
do you have any theories why it seems to be more prevalent in basketball? Because I was just thinking, like in basketball, a lot of these guys, in every other sport, like in the NFL, like you got to work your way to get there. In hockey, you have to work your way to get there.
Right.
Basketball, some of these guys are just so physically, just because you just happen to be 6'8" and 6'9", and you've been able to easily dominate your like you've never really been pushed your entire high school career because you were just so much more physically gifted, and just with your size alone, that maybe it's just a sport where they're just not pushed as much when they're younger and don't have to earn those traits where in other sports you do.
Well,
I don't know.
I think part of it is once you've signed that large guaranteed deal, there's nothing they can do about it, right?
But I mean, that happens in other sports.
Right.
Maybe not to that extreme,
right. But I think that's one reason why. And I think the other reason is because what I was just talking about is teams just, if you're one of the better teams in the league and when you are, and you're playing a team that's a bottom feeder, it's just probably human nature to know that we don't have to play. Like, for instance, I don't like to talk about myself and use myself as an example, but I'm going to do it right now. Let's say I'm going to play a match with a reasonable doubt for reasonable fee guy. I got to focus and really be on my game because he's a better player than I am. Mm-hmm. He was at one handicap at one time. He started watching his son play hockey. His son is Brimsick guy. He won the Brimsick best goaltender in high school hockey about 5-6 years ago, whatever that was, when he's playing for St. Thomas Academy. So but he was a one at one time and played in the Minnesota State Amateur and such like that. For me to beat him, I got to be able to. If I'm playing you, it's like
you could have at least thrown Meat Sauce's name out.
Yeah, I should have done. If I'm playing Meat Sauce. I mean, it's like, because you have beaten me.
Yeah.
If I'm playing,
I'm capable of beating you occasionally.
If I'm playing Meat Sauce, it's like, I know I don't have to be on my game. I can go double, toil and trouble, and it doesn't matter. I'm eventually going to, all right, time to focus now. We're on the back. Sauce has got me by 3 because he shot 80 at Golden Valley one time.
That's the first time.
April Fool. He could have me by a half a dozen shots at the turn, and it's like, okay. Time to focus, get to 10, hit that nice little high draw off the tee on 1, just clear that crick on number 2, knock it on the green. I putt better than 50% of the PGA Tour players. Make my putt, make birdie. He makes triple. I've cut the 6-stroke lead to 4 just like that. Yeah, I've cut it to 2 shots just like that. So I think that's what it is. But then sometimes, like the 2 times I did lose to you, I kept saying, well, I got to start hitting better shots now, and Tennessee's bound to hit. But you just kept hitting quality shots, and I just couldn't do it. And that's what happens when the Wolves play the Jazz. They think they're going to turn it on, but guess what? The opposition ain't going to let them tonight. They've decided they are going to try really hard.
And you've let your opposition gain a little confidence, so they're playing better than what they're typically capable
exactly
of.
Right. I think that's I think that's what it is. Here's another theory. This text messenger says, the players run the NBA more than any other league.
True.
Look no further than the firing of the Grizzlies coach. If the players aren't happy, they will either leave or get the coach fired. Here's another one, and this is the basketball community doesn't like it.
Oh boy.
This vendetta against the NBA is getting old. Maybe you should just following it similar to how you do the NHL or Major League Baseball. What does that mean, not follow it at all? I don't follow any of them except what I read, what I see. And if
this is Michael Malone's the one who said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The head coach of the team basically said his team and the Wolves do it on a regular basis. Why can't you see that? And why isn't anybody else up in arms about it? Yeah, and the only reason I do it is because I am a spokesperson for the common man, the average man, the best of the lousy is the best. Somebody's got to. It's the reason the poll ads are selling. I forced them to sell the club. That's according to Jim Suhan and LaBelle Neal III. They said so in a podcast. They said I was responsible for the poll ads saying, we cry uncle. We've been beaten down enough by the common man. We're going to sell the club. I should be thanked by people. Everybody's delighted that the poll ads are selling. If they do indeed eventually sell, I'm not sure they will. It's because of me, the common man, the average. And now I'm trying to get more effort. Wouldn't you be happier if the Wolves put effort? Malone says they see it when they scout them. He says
5 to 7 games before they play them.
Yeah, he says his team does the same thing. You don't see, if you're watching, I'm not even watching, and I know that, and you're watching, and you think they're giving it everything they got. What is wrong with you? Why would you attack me? You should be attacking the team. And if you're the one paying season ticket money to go to these games and watch them give a half-bleep effort, you're the fool, not me. I'm trying to help you. I have your best interests at heart. April Fool. I'm just using it to kill another segment. No, but seriously. Oh, yeah. Well, how about this? Imagine if there was a radio host that mailed it in one day a week. That didn't give it their all every single break. I'd say there's cheating a listener. He knows money is guaranteed. Bonus money is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. And I think those that know the common man realize I'm playing to the stereotype. I'm accused of that because I don't put any prep work in, he must be lazy and doesn't give much of an effort. Why do I have to keep defending myself? I don't need to prepare. I can wing it. It's a gift. Sorry, I don't have to be a radio architect. They're out there. There was a local radio guy the other day that was quoted in some article that said he hates people that wing it, thinks it's lazy. Well, my guess is because that person can't do it. They've tried, and they wish they
don't
could,
have that skill set.
But they don't have that skill set. I've tried.
I would love to have that skill set.
Yeah, I've tried.
I don't have it.
I've tried to prepare, and I can't. It gets too.
You're a gardener.
I'm a gardener. Here's one. Thank you for representing us, Common. Here's another one. Thanks, Common. The difference between a radio host mailing it in and a professional basketball player mailing it in is that we tune in just to hear you mail it in because it's great radio. There's the difference.
There's also another difference.
That is?
They are not paying money to hear you mail it in.
Right. Unless they buy the goods and services.
Well, sure. Well, that's benefiting them as well.
But right. Yeah, but they're not actually, plunking down. Now, flop, sweat, and tears. If you don't think I'm giving an effort, I've been stealing money from you. Yeah, but I give it everything I got. If you don't see the flop sweat pouring off my brow. Here says, yes, just spend 2 minutes on it. Move on like you do with every other team in town outside the Vikings.
My favorite thing about these people, they get mad when you talk Wolves.
Right.
And then if you went 3 weeks without talking about the Wolves at all, they get mad that you're not talking Wolves. Right. How come you don't show them any respect? How come you don't talk about it?
Well, and you know this. You know, I know you tune out a lot, and I don't blame you, especially after all these years.
What's that?
But when the Wolves are praiseworthy, we give them praise. We have during the 8-game winning streak. It was like, well, now they're starting to do that. They're starting to finally gel. Maybe they're starting, maybe, fool me once, shame. I won't get fooled again. Maybe they did take longer to gel than I thought. People kept telling me it takes time to gel. It takes time to gel. It takes time. And I've been waiting for that gelling to happen. And then for a while, they were stacking and gelling. They were gelling and stacking wins. They went 8-0, and then it went off the rails again. And here we are. I mean, it's like, when is it going to start? So that's all that is. Oh, and I already cheap shotted the Twins right out of the gate with the torpedo bat. They got the lacrosse stick bats. They just removed the net. Oh, there's plenty to get. We're going to attack the Twins. That's 0-4. And here's my question regarding the Twins, Tenevy. I'm all for I either want my favorite teams, the local teams, to be historically good, and if you can't have that, I want biblically bad. Right now, the Twins are trending toward biblically bad, but because it's so early in the season, should I still be hoping that we can turn it around and do historically good, or should we pile on right now and keep hoping the losses pile up? See, that's the dilemma that I face right now. Do I turn on the team and get off the bandwagon and now start to root against them? Or do I want to try to see them, right now, as Van Halen said, let's turn this thing around right now. I don't know what to do. I'll have to think about it during this break. Maybe we can talk about it again before the program is over. Here's one. I love it when the station spends a lot of time on the Twins and the Wolves. April Fools! Other side of the break is 5-3-4. What you got, Tim?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about that Twins loss, the Wilds loss, and we have some rule changes in the National Football League.